Greetings out there. For those of you who are new, this is my 12 episode weekly updates on lessons learned running a 100-mile race. I've done 2 successfully and 1 that I didn't complete, but I learned lessons from all of them. So excuse the shakiness of the video. I thought I'd do a live action kind of theme here, so I do ramble a little bit. I apologize for that in advance. But anyway, this is episode 2. For those of you who did watch 1, if you didn't, go back to YouTube and find episode 1, the intro. So episode 2 focuses on my first lesson, and probably the most important of all the lessons, and that is, why would you run a 100 miler? What's your motivation? You have to know why you do it. Because if you don't know why, when it does get tough between 70 miles and 100 miles, you do know why you're continuing. And it'll pull you through. I've done a lot of reading on the matter, on the why. And I thought one of the little vignettes I came across was very instructive and true to my experience. And that was that the first 50 miles are usually all about the physical. That is your physical stamina, your physiology, how you train that. The next 40 miles, 50 to 90, are all about the mind. Let's assume we have the physical. The mind, the psychology of it all. That's critical. The only way you can train for that is to go out and be on your feet for long durations and experience those lows and get to that point. So for most of us, we're not going to run more than 62 miles in preparation. So you're really only going to get about 10 miles of that. But in so doing, you're going to get a taste of it. And you can train yourself. And then the piece went on to say the last 10 are almost the most important. And that's all spirit. Now, whatever you want to call it, spirit, God, your essence, your soul, that connection, that reason for connecting to soul and spirit at that time is so critical. So it's going to have to be something emotional, something that really drives you, something that really inspires you. And when you think about it, it almost makes you tear up. And I'll guarantee you're going to tear up when you get to those points anyway. So my big motivation has been, ever since I turned 60, my motivation is always, my why has been to do the impossible after 60. So it's age-based in that sense. And, age is a number. There's some physical realities, no doubt. But the mind is still there. And spirit is still there. So half of the race right there, you should be someone who has very good experience with mind and also spirit. So just to give you a sense of, my experience in the last 100 miler that I ran, my first 50 miles I did in just under 11 hours and 30 minutes, which in terms of pacing for the 100, that's pretty nice. Obviously you can't double that to get to 100. It doesn't work that way. Multiply by 1.5 at least. And then I got to 60 by about 14 hours, just over, which is still pretty good. And then 70, which is really getting up there, by 17 hours, almost exactly. So everything was going great. the pain hadn't fully set in. It's getting dark, obviously, at this point. And things can be rough. But, so the last 30 miles took me about 13 hours. So you can imagine, 70 in 14, 13 in, for 30 miles. And so there were a lot of struggles in those last 30 miles. And I had to dig deep. I had to connect with spirit, the human spirit. What is it that motivated me? And me, I was driven to finish, even though I had to crawl, literally. As you can see in this video coming up, I was coming close to that. The video you're going to see is mile 89, and that certainly was a test to keep going on my last 11 miles, 11 and a half. So here it is. So that video is quite painful to watch. That was me in mile 89, barely recovering as I staggered through mile 89, trying to get back on track for the last 12 miles. And you can see a couple of my support crew there trying to make sure that I get going again. Very caring people, and helped to motivate me as well. So what had happened is the mile before that, in mile 88, I almost crashed out of the race. I got to the main tent of the event support, and my legs wouldn't stop. I basically crashed into a table and bounced off that table, kept going, almost hit a second table before one of the officials grabbed me and steadied me. They almost pulled me out of the race at that point, and with very good reason. I was able to convince them that, I was crashing because of the electrolytes deficiencies and fluids and so forth. And they let me go. They gave me to two of my crew members, and we were able to walk very slowly to our crew trucks. And I lay down for 45 minutes. And I downed several bottles of electrolyte. I had the Ensure, get some protein even at that late time, and 45 minutes of rest. Ate a banana, and they helped me back on my feet, and the rest is history, as you can see. So, age is a big one for me. Doing the impossible after 60, and that I drew on intensely, because at this point I'm in, connecting with spirit. Forget about physiology, first 50 miles, and the mind. At this point, it was really at a subconscious level, and I had to have that motivation burnt into my spirit and connect with it, and I did. I drew on it. I was not going to fail, and I remember telling the crew, I'm going to do this even if I got to crawl. Obviously, I wasn't going to do that, but I came close. As you can see in that video, as I staggered, leaning forward to the right, and in terrible pain. So you've got to find what it is that motivates you. Some people really have been through terrible things in their lives, and that motivates them, showing that you're resilient and that you can persevere. Others, have people close to them who are cancer survivors or going through a difficult time, and you can draw upon that. There's so many reasons. I mean, for me on the age side, I talked with a lady who was 74 years old, and she was telling me about her experiences, because her wisdoms count and are important. And I asked her why she did it and what motivated her. She said it's because I can. And the long and short of it is, she felt that she was privileged to be able to still run at that age, and so she did, and she did great things, and she connected with spirit. She was doing 240 miles in 6 days. Unbelievable. Made me feel like a kindergartner. But very motivating. I've always thought of that. And so for me, obviously, it's similar kind of motivation. And that was, do impossible things after age 60. Hopefully after 70, if I'm lucky enough. But there are a lot of studies out there that talk about what happens to humans in the life cycle. And one of the things that we see through those studies is that most people become much less physically active once they reach their mid-30s. And that's for good reason. They're rearing children. Running is a selfish pursuit. And so you put your children first. Career building, obviously, putting in the time, going up the ladder, all of those kinds of things. So, a lot of reasons. Some people, have injuries that catch up with them, or chronic diseases. So, there's reasons why people do become more sedentary. But for many, that is not the case. And you can run deep into your 80s if you want. Who knows, beyond that, you probably can. In my last 100 miler, I lined up at the starting gate with 3 80-year-olds. And 3 of the 4 finished. 2 of the 4 were finished in just under 30. They both beat me. And the third one still finished, but with a longer time. So the human spirit is amazing in terms of what we can do. Set small goals, build on them, move forward. So I'm going to end with a video of me as I reached the 100 in my first successful 100 miler. And it's pitch dark, it's cold, but I'm so happy and so thankful. And as grim as it was, I had connected with spirit, and I was feeling a euphoria that I couldn't imagine. And so I hope you have that as well. Find that motivation. Do impossible things. You can do it.
So I'm sitting here in the semi-dock, and we're at 99.5 miles. So technically we've hit the 100, but they don't count it until you cross the mat. So, but when we hit the mat again, we'll be at 100.5. So quite the time, and we're tired, but feeling good. It's been a huge team effort every step of the way, and without that, this doesn't happen. So very happy to be at this point, all of us. But at the same time, it's very rewarding, and to know what we've accomplished, it's one of those things that lost a lifeline.